So it's been a little over a year since I picked up my first ever pair of 3D printed sneakers, shall we say, in the midsole 4D technology from Adidas. This stuff, 4D. It's very interesting, it's very intricate, it's very potentially customizable, but has it really caught on? It's been about 2 years or so since 4D came to all our attention, and it's been a bit of a slow burner, and there's no one in Adidas's realms to really compete or show them a different way to do it. Until now, where a few brands are starting to bring their 3D printing technology to market. One of them being New Balance, who are doing their own way of 3D printing, and there's one other company that's bringing their interpretation of 3D printing to the sneaker market. This is How's the Ride. The first ever 4D printed shoe that I got, or shall we say midsole, that was 3D printed was by Adidas, and it was the Alpha Edge 4D, the first one, the 1.0, and they've brought out a couple of different versions since, and I've managed to pick them up. I've done a few reviews, I've got a pair on my feet right now, and they've been great. I really do enjoy the comfort levels of them. They suit my feet really well, but they're not everyone's cup of tea. And I think a lot of people had different expectations of them when they released. I think they thought that maybe that because of the structure of it, and it looked a little bit honeycomb-esque, that it might be quite lightweight, but actually it turns out that they were quite heavy in comparison to, say, something like Boost. But there is a new competitor on the market, and they are called PEAK. PEAK? Have you never heard of PEAK? I really genuinely haven't really heard of PEAK, and we're going to get into who PEAK are and what they do a little bit later in the video. But what I have got for you is their brand spanking new 3D printed shoe, and it is almost all 3D printed, which is called the Future Fusion 3D, and we're going to give them a test at my local gym just to see how's the ride. So let's go and give it a try. First impressions of the PEAK design shoe so far is it's a lot lighter than 4D. It's one major thing about the PEAK design shoe as well, and I've got to be really quick because obviously I don't want to get copyright strike for the music, but one of the main things with it is that the entire upper has also been 3D printed. It's like a woven plastic material, and it's translucent in areas in and around that black area, so it's really light. The 3D midsole on this particular shoe as well is a lot more gappy and open, a honeycomb structure compared to 4D, so in my opinion PEAK's done a fantastic job of making this shoe really lightweight. There's just one epic flaw. As you saw, the undersole of the shoe doesn't have any kind of rubber on it. It's totally open, it's totally exposed to potential debris or dirt or anything, and so what this does is it limits its ability to be used, in my opinion, anywhere other than a gym, because if you take it out you're risking never getting that shoe clean again. If you get stones or worse in there, it's going to be physically impossible to get them out, because if it embeds really deep into that midsole it could cause you a little bit of discomfort. You may even feel that debris come through the undersole. So yeah, a little bit let down by that. I think they probably needed to add some rubber for some extra grip as well, because it doesn't have that either. Grip on a treadmill isn't too bad. It didn't feel bad running on this shoe, and overall was a real lightweight shoe, but in general I felt more grip with the Continental rubber that you get on the Adidas shoe. Made it back from the gym, and I've got to go through a number of points to do with this particular PEAK3D shoe that I think you guys might find really interesting. Let me give you a little bit of an idea about who Peak Sports are and what they do. So Peak Sports has been around since 1989, and if you haven't heard about them, then you obviously don't know much about basketball, because that's what they really honed into. They're a Chinese brand, they've got a lot of outlets in China, but they have some performance athletes in the basketball world within the NBA, and I'm sure broader than that. But they're not so well known in Europe so much, in my opinion. I really hadn't heard a lot about them in advance of hearing about the particular 3D shoe that we are reviewing on this channel today. But we're going to go back to the Future Fusion PEAK3D. So this is it, and I'm going to go over things really quickly. So this was released as a Chinese exclusive. This was only released in China as far as I'm aware, and they only made a certain amount of pairs of these. This shoe retailed at $199. Yes, $199. It's probably the most affordable 3D printed shoe that's ever released on the market to date. And that has been the biggest complaint from most people trying to pick up a 3D printed style shoe from said manufacturer a million times over. This gave people the opportunity to try something new, something different. It may not be the finished article, it may not be the most popular looking shoe, it may be that you absolutely are disgusted by the look of the shoe, but I am really liking it. I just really do. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's the geek inside me that genuinely likes it, but it is really cool. The upper doesn't really have a lot of flexibility, and its overall fit, this is a UK 9.5, and it fits me perfectly fine, but I do have wide feet, and it fits me good for a wide footer actually, to be totally truthful. But if it's something where you've got more, maybe a narrow foot, potentially this shoe would be better half size down. This is not ideal. This is not great. Like, in all honesty, I was so excited to get this shoe, and I still really do genuinely actually like it. I don't think it's a bad shoe at all. I think the technology elements of this shoe are incredible, and how they've managed to produce an entire upper material and this incredibly light 3D midsole is nothing but a wonder. But what I would say is it really did need rubber on the bottom of this shoe, and I'm sure that's probably against what they were trying to create with this. The only elements that are not necessarily 3D printed are the blue heel pull tab, the inside lining, which is rather interesting, because if I haven't told you already, this shoe was made in collaboration with the most recent Men in Black movie. This was the box. The box in question was a collaboration, and unfortunately when it arrived, the box had been beaten up a bit by DHL, which is a shame. But when you open up the box, inside there was the shoes, and as an extra little addition, there was a pair of Peak socks in the package as well, in the design of the inside lining of the PEAK3D shoe. The insoles have got both of the main characters in H and M, the two characters in that new movie played by Chris Hemsworth and by the girl out of Thor Ragnarok, Tessa Thompson. Now, there's no clear idea whether these will ever re-release. I managed to get these from Peak Sports USA, so a big shout out to you guys for letting me have the opportunity to really get to grips with this shoe, because it's on another level in terms of technology, and as far as I'm aware, you have got some really interesting design elements with this shoe that just fascinated me. I think one of the biggest things that I kind of feel people won't like is how shiny they are, whether that makes them look quite cheap, but you do need to know a little bit more about the upper and the midsole as to why they look how they look. As far as I'm aware, the midsole on this was printed in an SLS printed fashion, which is the kind of layered approach to printing as far as I'm aware. I might be wrong, but I think it's different to the carbon method that Adidas are using. The main differences between the midsoles in general between 4D and 3D on this particular shoe is that there is a lot more material used and the printing method is different, with light and oxygen producing material that solidifies over time from a resin. This is more of a layered approach, and one of the things that I found with this particular shoe is that it's super squidgy. Like, it's the closest I could probably turn around and say you're gonna get to, say, Boost for a 3D printed sole, but it isn't Boost. It just isn't. And that is the only thing I can say about this shoe, is that you've got something that you thought would be what 4D was going to be, which is ultra light and incredibly crazy looking in technology wise, yet it wasn't really light because it had so much material density. Whereas with this one, it's super airy and super light and super squidgy. I just don't know how durable it really is going to be. The upper, on the other hand, I don't know how durable that will end up being. And the only other brand that I know that has done anything like it from a 3D printing filament kind of standpoint is that Nike did something with the Vaporfly series, and that was really cool, yet that was super, super limited. And they haven't really implemented it on anything else other than that particular shoe. And I've never had an opportunity to get one of those shoes in my hand in reality. So this is the closest that I've come to it so far, and it marries two brands' kind of technologies into one and makes its own little baby that is this. The PEAK designed 3D shoe, PEAK based out of Beijing in China. This gave people the opportunity to try something new, something different. That is it really for this particular shoe. You've had a really good idea of what could be the next thing in sneaker technology. It may not be quite there yet, but PEAK have been doing their best to push the boundaries. I hope you enjoyed How's the Ride this week, and I hope that you enjoyed Tykick's YouTube channel in general. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you for another video really, really soon. See you later.